Bam, there you have it. We got our price data and we got our chart right here. I think that was pretty easy. Finance family, it's the other brother Adam, Getbags, and today we're going to be getting historical option price data from the polygon.io API in Python, and I'm going to show you just how to do that. It's going to be 3 parts. We're going to be getting our API key, then we're going to be downloading the data, and then we're going to just clean it up, get it ready for usage. Okay, so first thing we want to do is pop over to our trusty Google, and then we want to Google search Polygon API docs. Scroll down, here's our documentation, and this is going to be very helpful. We're going to click over into our client library for Python, and that's going to open up our GitHub. Now, since we're still here on Polygon, we kind of just want to jump over to pricing, and then you can go ahead and sign up and create your account, and then you should be able to subscribe for API key here under the free package. Once you got all that straightened away, your API key is going to be here under dashboard, and we'll kind of get into that later. So if we just now click over to our GitHub documentation, we can scroll down and go to our getting started section. We're definitely going to want to go there, and that's going to bring us to our readthedocs.io for our Polygon API client library. First thing we're going to want to do is pip install Polygon API client. So we'll jump over to our Python code here. First, pip install everything you need, which is our Polygon API client, and then we're going to pip install Plotly. Next, we're going to go ahead and import all those modules. So what we can see here in our docs is we got our from Polygon import our REST client. We're going to include that and then import some other modules here. We got our Plotly stuff. We're just going to do some graphing at the end. Next, in our Python code, we have our API key. So I have mine imported from a separate file, but you can just paste yours here as a string, and then we're going to want to check out how to do that. So if you jump over to polygon.io and you click into dashboard here, then that's going to take you to our dashboard, and you can see here at the bottom we have our API key. So you can click into that there, and then you have your API key right here, and then you can copy that and then paste that over into a string into your API key, and that's going to allow you to authenticate to that client. Okay, so that looks like it went off without a hitch. We're going to pop back over to our documentation here and just take a look. So if you see in the documentation here, when we authenticate our client, we have our client equals REST client and then our API key in there. So we just copy that over, and then that's our authentication there with our API key. Very simple. Now, before we go ahead and get the data, we need to figure out what our option ticker is. So if you go down to the docs here and then you click into contracts, that will bring up a command here, list option contracts. So you have our client.list option contracts, and it takes a ticker. So then we're going to want to feed it an underlying ticker. Let's just use Apple as our underlying. They have very liquid options. So what we're going to want to do is kind of investigate how we're going to use that. If we go back over to our documentation, it says here for paginated endpoints that use list, we have to use the iterator below. So basically what that does is it just uses a list to store our different pages from our response. So basically all we do here is we copy this code over, and then I pasted it here, but I just changed around some of the names, the variable here, and then instead of using that command list trades, we're going to use that list option contracts from the documentation that you can see right here, and we're going to add our underlying ticker. So I'm using Apple here, and we're returning 1,000 entries per page. Now this API has a rate limit of 5 requests per minute, so that's why we're using a large request size so we can not hit that request limit. And then it's just adding the data to a list here. So we can go ahead and run that. So as you can see, it returns a ton of data. This next line of code just takes a look at the type, which is a special object there for option contracts. And then if we wanted to view the individual contract data, we can just go to a very specific contract here, and then we can look at the data. So it looks like it's a call option here, and then we have an expiration date. So this is the August monthly expiration, and then we can see our strike price again, 145. So I figured the August expiration would be very liquid and would have some price data behind it. So all we're doing here in this line is just assigning our option ticker to a variable so that we can refer to our options ticker when we make the price data request. So here's the string of what the options ticker looks like. Now, if we pop back over to the Polygon documentation here on polygon.io, you can click into options here, and here's our option API documentation. Scroll down, we have our aggregate bar data here. So we're going to want to get our open, high, low, close bars back. It requires the options ticker and then has some other parameters that you can change around. And if we click back back over to our read the docs, and then if we click into aggregate data here, we use client.getAgs, and then it has a couple of required data fields that we're just going to fill in so that we can make our request in Python to the API. So we have our client.getAgs, and then we have our ticker here, and then we pass it our options ticker that I showed earlier. And then this next two is the frequency of data. So I want 1 day data, so just basically daily data, and I want from as far back as it'll go to the current time. And I've also included a couple of other data requests here below. So if we want to get 5-minute price bars, we could do 5-minute data going back, and then we could do 2-hour data if we want to get 2-hour data price bars. So I'm going to go ahead and make the request. So that was a success, and we can see our option data here. It returns back a bunch of bars, but what we're going to want to do is format that. So next, what we have here is just some formatting into a pandas data frame, and now we can take a look at that data a little easier. So much easier to see here on the screen. We have open, high, low, close, and then some volume data and some timestamp data. And I can tell you off rip, we're gonna wanna reformat this timestamp so it's much easier. So what this next code does is it just formats a new column called date. We're using the lambda to just apply our toDateTime function from our pandas library. And then we can see these are our date times in our column date. And then what we're gonna do next is just set that as our index. So now everything's looking much more easy to use. We have our index, which is date time, and then we have our open, high, low, close. And all we're gonna do next after that is quickly just generate a graph with our Plotly library, and it's a candlestick chart. So bam, there you have it. We got our price data and we got our chart right here. I think that was pretty easy. You can do whatever you need to do with this data, and there you have it. We got our historical option price data from the polygon.io API in Python. Really easy, right? If you want to support me, you can always buy me a coffee at the link in my description. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave me a comment and let me know what you think, finance family. Please, you have my blessings. Be safe out there in these crazy markets. Let's go get these bags.